Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special live episode on KTV2. Tonight, we will focus on the deep-rooted and enduring relationship between the state of Kuwait and the Republic of Lebanon as we mark an important diplomatic moment, the official visit of His Excellency, the President of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, to the state of Kuwait. This visit is more than a ceremonial occasion. It is a testament to the historical friendship and mutual support that have long defined the relationship between our two nations. As you know, my name is Ahmed Al-Wasmi, and I'm honored to guide you through this special program. With me here in the studio is a very distinguished guest, economist and strategic expert, Dr. Salah Al-Hamidi. Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for sticking around, but we'll get back to you as soon as we can, but we have to finish this. For the next few segments, we will explore the shared historical, humanitarian cooperation, economic ties, and forward-looking vision that bind the Kuwait and Lebanon together. Let's begin with a short report looking back at the foundations of Kuwait-Lebanon relationships in this following report.
The state of Kuwait warmly welcomes His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, to his second country, a dear and honored guest in the hearts of the Kuwaiti leadership and people. The state visit of His Excellency, the President of Lebanon, to Kuwait represents a milestone in the solid fraternal relations between both countries.
Kuwait and Lebanon established formal diplomatic relations on September 27th of 1961, after which both countries maintained embassies in each other's capitals, facilitating continuous diplomatic engagement. Both sides have been present in supporting the other on various occasions. Kuwait has been a significant contributor to Lebanon's reconstruction efforts, investing $300 million for post-war reconstruction, including rebuilding schools, hospitals, and essential infrastructure between 2006 and 2008. In times of crisis, Kuwait has consistently offered humanitarian aid, reaffirming its commitment to Lebanese stability and prosperity, with the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development having financed numerous infrastructure and development projects, covering sectors like education, healthcare, water, and transportation. And for their part, Lebanese intellectuals, artists, and educators have historically contributed to Kuwait's educational and media sectors, strengthening their cultural bond and reflecting a rich tradition of cultural exchange. A clear testament to the enduring ties between the two countries is Lebanese President Joseph Aoun's visit to Kuwait, with discussions including enhancing bilateral cooperation, expanding trade, and maintaining mutual diplomatic support.
The state of Kuwait warmly welcomes His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, to his second country, a dear and honored guest in the hearts of the Kuwaiti leadership and people. The state visit of His Excellency, the President of Lebanon, to Kuwait represents a milestone in the solid fraternal relations between both countries.
Welcome back. You're still coming to you live right here on KTV2. That was a meaningful reminder of a deep and long-standing ties between our nations. Dr. Salah Al-Hamadi, it is always a pleasure to have you here. And you and I, we know about the significant visit to His Excellency, the President of Lebanon, to the state of Kuwait. It means a lot. And before we go deep inside these visitations between these two nations, let's have a quick scenario and a quick briefing about the relationship between Kuwait and Lebanon. What exactly it focuses on?
Well, the relationship between Kuwait and Lebanon it has a history background in it. It's always been based on mutual respect, based on culture, based on education. So if we look at even from day one of the Independence Day back in 1961, Lebanon was one of the first nation to welcome that independence
and
recognize it exactly, and try to have a diplomatic ties with Kuwait. Looking at the people between the two nations, they always there is a huge bond, a strong bond that either relatives or people who Kuwaitis love to visit Lebanon, especially when the atmosphere of when Lebanon is beautiful. So there's always.
Since you mentioned that, back in the 60s, the Kuwaitis used to own houses over there.
Exactly.
It's specific also on the mountains. They call it Al Jabal, something like that.
Exactly.
And it has a wonderful view, which leads us to the value which defines the relationship between the state of Kuwait and the Lebanese people. I believe there is something unusual between these two countries regarding the people of these two countries.
I believe, to be honest, Lebanese people has, I would say, something like a chemistry where you cannot unlike them. It has something within their blood that Kuwaitis
kind
has.
and friendly.
Exactly, very friendly, very educated. So, if we look at, how, if we're looking at the media, for example, like look at Fayrouz came to Kuwait, or look at
the singer.
Yes, Sabah singed here in Kuwait for Kuwaitis back in there where they are they are legend in their media field. But the Safi, Najd Rumi, all these people, who created as well the love to the Lebanese. In terms of relationship, Kuwait and Lebanon, it's always been a great nations together. Kuwait, as I said, as you mentioned, they love to visit Lebanon, especially summertime where there's lots of heat in Kuwait, where they go into Lebanon. A lot of people who own real estate in Lebanon. And of course, in the early times, Lebanon has, has sent their educated people, expert in education, in medicine, where this mutual relationship has growing more and more with time.
Since we're talking about the Lebanese people, let's talk a little bit about the president of Lebanon. I believe this is his first visit to the state of Kuwait for a long time. And it did not come in any better time because these two people, I'm talking about the two nations, the people love each other, as you mentioned, as you alluded to, but there's something else about politically. They share the same concept. They don't like to interfere with the other's relation, affairs, foreign affairs. They would love to have non-alignment situation, not with the others, but would love to mediate between the conflicts. Lebanon doing the same thing, and the state of Kuwait, it takes the same policy. Do you think this is the same mutual vision?
Oh, of course. Kuwait has always been known for its diplomatic solutions, always been neutral. Kuwait, it's always been a very smart politics where they don't interfere with the internal policies. For example, today the visit marks a significant visit because now Lebanon, after the last year drama, is rebuilding. There was a period of 2 years of no president for Lebanon, and now they are in the process of rebuilding Lebanon, making Lebanon again as a great nation to visit, great nation to they had challenges, in terms of policy, in terms of economy and all that. So the visit is it's a great place to start. You know, this is his first visit to Kuwait, and it is actually gave Kuwait, I would say, priorities to start as a nation, because Kuwait has always been a key player in the diplomatic solution. They don't interfere with the internal
affairs of the
or
others.
anything, but it's always been supported against the aggression on Lebanon. For example, the 2006, the aggression of Israeli on Lebanon. Last year again, and it's always been supported to make Lebanon again in the Arab League as a unity, for not to isolate Lebanon, as you know, as the past few years there was challenges for different kind of...
When you say about challenges to Lebanon, I believe that the state of Kuwait, from the inception, back in the independent day when you said 1961, 1962, that start working with their brothers doing, I mean the rest of the Arab countries, specifically Lebanon, because Lebanon, we share the same vision regarding the foreign policies. What about the economy between each other? Do you think that we need to solidify our cooperation economically with Lebanon, something like that?
Lebanon now, it's a great, now it's not about donating, it's about investing.
Investing.
So we are switching gear. Before, in the old times, you know, since, you know, as I said, in 1961, the Independence Day, 2 months later, there was the creation of, you know, Kuwaiti leaders has the vision. So there was the creation of the Kuwait Funds for the Arab Economic Development, and that, since then they start, you know, building roads, helping the economy with that.
Projects over there.
Exactly, but now is more of investing, because now you're looking for more of just donating or putting, you know, few $1 billion in the central bank to stabilize the economy, but that's only temporary things. Now the switching gear into more of investment, where you create jobs, where you stabilize the economy to have a more sustainable development in the country, and that would benefit both countries according to the situation, the economy in Lebanon.
So from your own point of view, this visit, it could have some, in the horizon, some kind of mutual respect regarding investing between each other. Do you think that it's going to have some kind of dealing between these two countries?
Well, definitely. The first, I mean, of course, it's a respect to the Kuwait of its the political stand of the Kuwait, and then the economy, you know, always policy and economy, they go together. So the economy side definitely will be there. I will see that there will be a huge role for the Kuwait funds of the Arab economic development, the private sector, which is a huge player in the economy, that will have...
you mean the private sector for the side of the Kuwaiti?
Yes,
okay.
Private sector coming, you know, all the companies and all to rebuild, you know, Lebanon, in terms of hotels, you know, resorts, even routes, tolls, all that things, airports. These are the things that you make the country infrastructure visible for the tourists to come back again. Of course, security is that goes with it. So it has to, again, the government of Lebanon standing up and making sure that the security, by calling to rescind all the weapons and all that, and they have talked about this in their news, to make, you know, the government and the army are the, you know, the main security figure for the country itself.
The state of Kuwait always maintain the principle of not interfere with anybody's business as far as the internal. But yet it interferes when it comes to the brotherly Lebanese people and the government. And nowadays, and for months, they are facing the Israeli occupation, aggression every now and then, you know, just bombing here and bombing there. And also the state of Kuwait stands with the Lebanese people from now until doomsday. But there is some kind of a distance that the state of Kuwait would love to keep it internationally, not to interfere, but we are standing beside of you. What do you think of that?
Well, that's
The policy of the state of Kuwait.
The policy of state of Kuwait, always looking at a diplomatic solution. You know, the aggression, of course. However, Kuwait, it did condemn the aggression, the Israeli aggression to Lebanon, and it did not just stand looking at the aggression. It supported the condemned by consolidating with the Arab nation to condemn the aggression, and of course to put an end to this aggression. And then as soon as, like if we look at back in 2006, Kuwait, the first things what the government of Kuwait has initiated, I would say, the infrastructure route plan, where they have put 300 million Kuwaiti dinar on the infrastructure to rebuild the infrastructure. We're talking about roads, talking about bridges between the two, between the villages. Building the Qaismani Dam, where is this dam serve 30 villages, if I can remember, 30 villages where they give them clean water. And these are very important. We're talking about, not just the building the infrastructure, but making a strategic reconstruction. Again, to stabilize the economy, they put $500 million in the central bank to stabilize the Lebanese lira right after that, the aggression of the Israeli back in 2006. But again, if we look at the Kuwaiti, we're not looking at how much Kuwait has done, because this is the Kuwait political affairs. This is the how Kuwait looks at its brotherlyhood of the Lebanese. But again, Kuwait, because doing this, it looks at it as it's a priority of their agenda, looking at how the Lebanese people should have a decent life, that the Lebanese should have, and not forget that the refugees coming from Syria, from Palestine, all these are, again, it is a responsibility of the Arab nations. And that's Kuwait fear its responsibility of, of dealing with this situation, not interfering with the, as we say, the internal affairs, but as putting a solution and trying to help and aid the Palestinian governments and people.
Dr. Hamadi, I want you to take a breather, because you've been talking too long, because I have another person on the line. Let's shift gears now to introduce our respected academic voice and brings an additional layer of perspective to this discussion. Now we turn to Dr. Mohammed Musa, Professor of Political Economy, whose academic expertise and analysis depth provide thoughtful reflection on the enduring relationship between the state of Kuwait and the Republic of Lebanon. In this address, Dr. Musa examines the broader significance of the Lebanese president's visit to the state of Kuwait and the historical depth of the bilateral ties and the prospect for enhanced cooperation in the economic, political spheres. We invite you now to listen to the contribution of Dr. Mohammed Musa.
I guess the visit underscored the long-standing and historic ties between Lebanon and Kuwait, as well as with the whole GCC countries. I guess also President Joseph Aoun is looking for several goals from these visits. First of all, strengthening the bilateral relationship. President Aoun aims to reinforce Lebanon's diplomatic and economic ties with Kuwait, emphasizing the importance of Arab unity in addressing regional challenges. In addition to that, we can say about economic cooperation. President Aoun will discussing to focus enhancing economic collaboration in several areas of investment, trade, infrastructure development in Lebanon. One of the important also rebuilding trust with Kuwait. I think the visit will serve to platform rebuild bridges with Kuwait and GCC countries and the whole Arab world. In addition to that, one of the important issues also seeking support for reforms in Lebanon. President Aoun is likely to appeal for Kuwaiti support in Lebanon, our ongoing reforms effort, which are for securing international aid and stabilizing not only Lebanon but the whole region, in addition to stabilize the economical issue in Lebanon. I guess.
One of the most striking examples of Kuwait's unwavering support came during the 2020 Beirut port explosion, one of the most devastating events in Lebanon's modern history. Within hours, Kuwait mobilized medical teams, humanitarian aid, and reconstruction funds. The Kuwait Red Crescent and the government agencies were among the first to arrive, offering relief where it was needed the most. This report brings us more.
Kuwait's assistance to Lebanon stands as a strong example of Arab solidarity, reflecting a long history of humanitarian and developmental support. Through the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development, Kuwait has contributed to numerous vital projects in Lebanon, focusing on sectors such as health, education, and reconstruction, particularly after times of conflict and crisis. However, the support has not been limited to long-term development. The state of Kuwait has also provided urgent humanitarian aid during disasters, most notably after the Beirut port explosion in 2020, when it swiftly sent medical supplies and food aid to assist the Lebanese people who suffered the disaster. Kuwait has also played a key role in the construction of hospitals, schools, and community centers across Lebanon, emphasizing its consistent commitment to helping stabilize and support the country. These efforts reflect Kuwait's foreign policy rooted in humanitarian cooperation and its dedication to fostering regional stability, highlighting the deep historical bond between the Kuwaiti and the Lebanese people.
The state of Kuwait warmly welcomes His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, to his second country. A dear and honored guest in the hearts of the Kuwaiti leadership and people. The state visit of His Excellency the President of Lebanon to Kuwait represents a milestone in the solid fraternal relations between both countries.
Ladies and gentlemen, this kind of unwavering support, particularly in moments of crisis, helps explain why Lebanese president visit to the state of Kuwait carries such importance. And it's not just a diplomatic gesture, but a recognition of Kuwait's role as a trusted partner and brotherly nation standing by Lebanon in both hardship and hope. That's why we still have here the presence and the pleasure of Dr. Al-Hamadi, Dr. Salah Al-Hamadi. You have listened to Dr. Musa, and we were talking about, the relationship between Kuwait and Lebanon as far as the government and also the people. Back in about 2 or 3, 4 years ago, we had an explosion in Lebanon, which shocked the world. Somebody said that it was heard clear around the world from the big devastation and the impact which it took place in Lebanon. And as we mentioned through the report and through you, that the state of Kuwait were the first people to be present over there to lend hand to our brothers over there. Your point of view regarding this matter?
Well, what happened in the port of Lebanon, actually, it is devastating, as you mentioned. It was back in 2020, August. And remember that times is, of course, we are still with the Corona time. Corona started.
COVID-19.
Exactly. So even if you think about, sending aids, it is very difficult because of the transportation difficulties. So Kuwait, since that day, has started having an air bridge, a non-stop sending through the Red Crescent more than 36 tons of medicine, equipment, wheelchairs, baby milks and all that.
All the necessities.
All the necessity that it needs to at least stand, make Lebanon stand, because what happened, it was really beyond anybody's expectation, and it was happened just suddenly, just like, what happened in different, it was a shock, just like to the world, just like what happened in 9/11. However, the Kuwaitis government, since the day one, have sent the aid to the Lebanese, sending their aids, sending their medical equipment, and the Kuwait's funds, again, they have promised to rebuild the wheat silos, which is a main strategic food plan for Lebanon. Not just the aid that send to the Lebanon, but however the support and the comfort of the government of Kuwait to the Lebanese, that we are behind you, you're not there alone, we will be standing behind you, and that by itself is more than the equipment, more than any materialistic stuff that could be sent.
At the beginning of this interview, you have mentioned that the Lebanese government are trying to recover from the past. When you mentioned something that 2 years without a president, they have kind of political turmoils over there, that it stops everything. Now, this visit here, that it prioritizing the state of Kuwait, makes it so significant to them. Do you believe this thing, that it's in his mind, the leadership and also the president of Lebanon, that Kuwait is something special? We need to begin our trip with Kuwait.
Of course. I mean, look what happened since the elect of the Lebanese president. The first official government who visited Lebanon was the foreign minister of Kuwait. Of course, with him there was the Secretary General of the GCC. And they went there to assure that the Arabs still, even with the challenges that happened, the GCC, especially in the Arab nation, are beyond Lebanon. We are there to rebuild the Arab unity. And because of the role of the Kuwaitis, government, and the Kuwait itself as a nation, in playing the political role as being always supporting the diplomatic solutions. I believe that the president of Lebanon, Ahmad Joseph Aoun, has thought that Kuwait will be a great country to visit. And he mentioned that, I believe in...
Do you believe that the state of Kuwait is the main gate for the GCC countries? The main gate?
Well...
If you open this gate, you're home free.
I think the whole GCC is a great nation to start with, without putting anyone in front. But Kuwait, look at Kuwait. Kuwait was the country who started the GCC. Was the idea of the late Amir Jabir Ahmed.
Back in 81.
Yeah, exactly. Rahmatullah alayh, back in 81, exactly. And since then, Kuwait, You know, Kuwait is always playing, you know, the political solutions. So going through Kuwait, it is, I would say, will be a golden gate, not just a gate into the GCC and the Arab nation.
Going back to the relationship, since you mentioned, since the inception of the state of Kuwait, you know, back 300 years, but since the recognition worldwide back in 1961, the first country in the whole world was Lebanon to share this thought as an independent state. Do you think there's a milestone to define the relationship between these two countries? Is there something significant? You want to put your hand and this is it, this is exactly what we're talking about?
Exactly. I mean, we mentioned, Lebanon was one among the first nation to recognize Kuwait as a state, as an, you know, an independent state. And since then, they start exchanging diplomatic, you know, immunity and committees. And not to forget that Lebanon was the first nation to condemn the Iraqi invasion to Kuwait, the first nation. You know, of course, we're not saying that the rest of the nation, but it gives it, you know, that time, you know, the government of Lebanon, since it has a very close tie to the Kuwaiti government, so always there is a great diplomatic relationship between them, regardless of the challenges, but everybody has a challenge in, you know, as internal affair, and Kuwait, again, they don't interfere with the internal affair of the Lebanon. However, Kuwait, Lebanon has, I would say, as a special relationship between the government and between the people. If you ask any Kuwaitis, what do you think about Lebanon, you will always hear a positive feedback.
Not only that, back in the 60s and the 70s, they used to call it the Switzerland of the Middle East.
Yeah, exactly.
The state of, you know, the people of Kuwait, they used to take their vacations over there. During the winter time, they go skiing. During the summertime, they enjoy the moderate weather over there. The climate is so suitable for every time in the year. That's why they love it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look at not just the Kuwaitis. I mean, look at all the Arab nations. Look at the old movies, even from Egypt. You will see that they're going to Lebanon
to film the movie.
Exactly. Yeah. To film a movie and having more, because Lebanon at that time is advanced in the media.
Dr. Hamadi, you have alluded to that the state of Kuwait always lends hands to the whole world, specifically to the Arab nations. But when we talk about Lebanon, you mentioned something significantly, really honestly touching, that they reconstruct Lebanon after the civil war and beyond that, and still doing that. Do you think that this, you mentioned that back then they used to give money, to grant money, to give it and put it in the bank to stabilize the economy. Nowadays, they're trying to invest, to share the economy together. Do you think that they still have the same ideas, the same agenda?
Well, nowadays, it's not about, as I said, the money. The money is there.
It's there.
But making the ties between the two nations. So the investment here, I don't want to just donate or fix, because this was the old way of, you know, rebuilding the nation. Right now, I want
temporarily, they want something beyond that.
Exactly. We want something beyond that, more sustainable. So by having an investment, by having, you know, investing in real estate and infrastructure and different kind in the country, this will benefit both nations. I'm creating jobs in here. I'm making the country more stable. I'm telling the people Lebanon is back, and we're trying to, and that's why we. And look at just recently the UAE. Now, after 4 years banning the flight to Lebanon, now they are back. And they start with the 3 or 4 flights a week to Beirut. So, which is, again, it's the steps going into back to the Lebanon, the Lebanon that we know, the Lebanon that people love, that to have again, to have it back. And hopefully now, as the President Joseph Aoun was saying, we want to see you in the summer in Lebanon, and hopefully by then Lebanon was back to, to be a great nation as always been.
As far as the project in general, let's talk a little bit about renewable energy. The state of Kuwait has the oil and the gas. Lebanon, they have some kind of agriculture, and they have tourism, and they have etc. things that we don't know about. What exactly we need to do towards this, a project that we need to revitalize between these two countries as far as the renewable energy? Do you think that these energy projects is going to be seen in the horizon?
Definitely. Right now, I mean, nowadays the crude oil, if we look at the prices of the oil, it's, who
fluctuate. It goes up and down.
We don't control it. Nope. Not even the OPEC can control. They influence it, but they don't control it because it's controlled by the supply and demand. So therefore, Kuwait now they're looking at to have an alternative income.
Beside the oil, you mean?
Of course, yes, exactly.
Different revenues.
Different revenues. So by having this clean energy, the gas, and I'm not saying a complete difference, but instead of selling the crude oil,
no,
you can differentiate the oil and have in refineries, and instead of selling it for $50 a barrel, you can sell it up to $300, $400 a barrel. So that's why now we're switching with more of what can we do with the more green energy, more of renewable energy. And that's how Kuwait nowadays, if you look at the strategy of the government and like what happened in the Oman, the Duqm, refinery, and this is always a great.
They call it Duqm.
Duqm. And nowadays they're talking about construction or investing in the renewable energy in Lebanon, because Lebanon is known as, of course, in the old times there was a supply of oil to the Lebanon. Right now is more of, we're trying to look at more of renewable energy to help the country with the, energy nowadays is very expensive in terms of oil or in terms of the energy itself for the housing. And that's why thinking about beyond the supply of oil, which is the renewable of the energy, and making it more beneficial to the people, it's benefit for both countries.
How do you think that the governments between these two countries try to facilitate smoother trade junction between these two people? You mentioned something about the private sector, they need to invest more. And it's a mutual from there and here. But we need to jump the hurdles, the regulatory barriers. What exactly we need to do to make it easier for the investments to flow through Lebanon and vice versa?
Well, if we look at the trade has many different aspects. Of course, to facilitate trade, you need to negotiate the way you trade, because in the old times we do import from Lebanon fruits and different commodity, and we export again to Lebanon. To facilitate that, you need to have a negotiating of first the tariffs, the quotas, which is how many of each. Well, this is not usually quotas is like if we look at an example, let's say we want to bring cars, like that's what happened with the Japanese in the old time, Japanese and the US. They don't want too many Japanese cars in the US, so they put a quota, which is 1,000 of a specific car to go in. So therefore, there was a lot of
And
obstacles.
the Japanese, they were smarter than the Americans. They took their factories and put them
Exactly.
inside the United States.
Exactly.
So don't tell me about quotas. This is their point of view.
Yeah.
I have the factory, and I'm employing your citizens.
Exactly. But that's not that. This is creating jobs. And that's what the U.S. wants, because this will increase the GDP for the U.S., GNP for the Japan. So this is a great thing. So even if, let's say, you build a factory here, even if the factories are foreign, this is good for Kuwait because it created a job, it increased the GDP, which is gross domestic product of Kuwait, and that's good things. We see more things that made in Kuwait, anything that made in the land of Kuwait. So having the trade, to facilitate the trade between the two, you need to create more modern tools of, of course, you need to facilitate the banks, you need to facilitate the exchange between the two nations, making the private sector, which is, companies and all that, more strong, give them the tools to exchange, and, the Chamber of Commerce needs to step in to connect people. Because let's say I am...
You're with Chambers of Commerce of Kuwait.
Yes, both,
Okay.
For both nations.
Both countries.
Yes, because let's say I am I'm a commerce that I need to either sell a product or, buy, import a raw material. So they will have to step in to show me who's doing this, give you all the information, all the data that I need as, as a businessman. And it's just like when Kuwait has visited China, the whole, the Emir of Kuwait at that time, Sheikh Sabah al-Rahmah, took, huge business people, and they got introduced to the Chinese. And that now we see that Chinese, of course, Chinese is everywhere, but we see more of the trade between Kuwait and China. So Lebanon, to go back into the trade, some tools need to be implemented. The areas of regulation need to be deregulated to facilitate the trade between Kuwait and Lebanon.
I want to talk about the future of these two countries, but first we have a diplomacy and humanitarian. There is a significant potential in economic cooperation between Kuwait and Lebanon. Lebanon, despite its challenges, offers opportunity in tourism, finance, agriculture, and reconstruction. While Kuwait brings capital experience and stability, discussions around investments in Lebanon's infrastructure and energy sector have already begun, especially in the wake of the renewed regional engagement. More in this following report.
The State of Kuwait warmly welcomes His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, to his second country, a dear and honored guest in the hearts of the Kuwaiti leadership and people. The state visit of His Excellency the President of Lebanon to Kuwait represents a milestone in the solid fraternal relations between both countries.
Economic cooperation between Kuwait and Lebanon is regaining momentum. During his April 2025 visit to Kuwait, Lebanese Finance Minister confirmed ongoing discussions with the Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development to support Lebanon's reform-driven recovery. Key development priorities include energy, infrastructure, health, and education. Kuwait emphasized that funding will align with economic feasibility and governance standards. The minister has assured the Gulf states that Lebanon is serious about reforms, highlighting new laws to regulate the banking sector and stabilize public finances. With long-standing cultural and family ties between both nations, Kuwait's role is seen as pivotal. Upcoming Kuwaiti technical visits to Beirut aim to finalize project details, marking a renewed economic bridge between the two countries.
And now to enrich our coverage with a voice from Lebanon itself, we are honored to share a special recorded message from Asad Bishara, a respected journalist joining us from Beirut in this recorded phone call. He will reflect on the importance of Lebanese president visit to the state of Kuwait and the strength of bilateral ties and the gratitude the Lebanese people feel to Kuwait, enduring support in times of stability and especially during crisis. Let's listen.
The Lebanese president's visit to Kuwait is a significant diplomatic step aimed to reinforcing historic ties between the two nations. It highlights Lebanon's intent to strengthen political alliance and garner support for Gulf countries. This visit is expected to foster renewed trust, encourage Kuwaiti investments in Lebanon, and enhance collaboration in sectors like energy, education, and infrastructure, laying a foundation to stronger bilateral cooperation during a time of regional uncertainty. During regional tensions and economic hardships, the Lebanese president's visit to Kuwait holds vital political and economic implications. It seeks to secure financial aid, attract Gulf investments, and revive trade partnerships. Politically, it reinforces Lebanon's neutrality and commitment to Arab unity. Expected outcomes include agreements in economic assistance, energy cooperation, and possible labor market support for the Lebanese immigration, essential for Lebanon's recovery and regional integration. Finally, we would say thanks to Kuwait. Thank you, Kuwait, for supporting always Lebanon.
We'd like to thank Mr. Asad for these valuable insights from Lebanon. And the state of Kuwait is the opportunity to reaffirm bond which weathered the challenges and that continues to grow stronger. Kuwait and Lebanon may differ in geography and resources, but they are united by history, shared values, and the belief in the brighter, more cooperative Arab future. That's why the Mr. Distinguished himself, the academic and the expert regarding these matters that we are talking, Dr. Salah Al-Hamadi, is still with us. You took a break. That was a briefer for you. Now we're back at it. Now, since we are talking about the growth and the strong relationship between these two countries, it has to be something in your mind that we are going to do more to, to reap more, to have the flourish of our relationship between these two countries. What exactly we need to do regarding these things to take it to the next level, to the other horizon?
Well, I think there would be more role for the Kuwait funds for Arab economic development. The role not necessarily for donating. The role will be more on investing. The Kuwait funds are playing a great strategic, helping more than 100 nations worldwide, and not just funding. It's more of reconstruction, rebuilding, helping villages, helping the nation to be reconstruct, redeveloped in agriculture, in technology, in innovation. There will be more of donating is always be there. There is always Red Crossing. There's always the country will help.
You just like saying, I can feed you, I can give you the fish, but I want you to fish by yourself.
Exactly.
Something like that.
So
I can help you, but I want you to help yourself and us together in the same time.
Exactly. So because helping itself, I can help you, let's say, I can feed you, but how long I can be feeding you? You have to step up and continue yourself. So it is more of a sustainable relationship, more of investing, more of being as a brotherhood. The role of the Kuwait's fund in Lebanon, I will see it, or it will be, I think it's a great accomplishment. There will be more of not just rebuilding now, it's more of having a strategy for not just investing for Kuwait, but making Lebanon more as a great nation for the rest. So when the nation will stand up, Lebanon was known for its tourism. People coming from all over the world to visit Lebanon. Lebanon has a beautiful weather, beautiful people, knowing for its great food, name it, everything that it's there. All the infrastructure of being a great nation is there, and I'm sure that with time the nation will be tied together. There will be more collaboration. I don't imagine as far as two countries will be politically stronger, because it is a strong bond between them. I believe the people of Kuwait again will be visiting Lebanon again. We'll see more of people who love Lebanon in Lebanon.
Do you love Lebanon?
Of course. I've been to Lebanon.
So you and I
many
will
times.
be over there together to visit them?
Inshallah, of course, yes, they will be there, and this is a support to make Lebanon great again, a great
Better
nation.
believe it. Dr. Salah, always a pleasure to have you here. Dr. Salah Al-Hamadi, you're a strategic economist and also a very wonderful insight regarding these matters, not to mention the political, which is you are an expert in these things. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time here.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. And we always would say to Lebanon, not just welcome, you are here in your nation.
You better believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have celebrated the enduring partnership between Kuwait and Lebanon, a friendship shaped by shared values, tested by crisis, and driven by hope for the future. The visit of Lebanon's president to the state of Kuwait is not just a diplomatic formality. It is reaffirmation of the Arab Brotherhood and the new opportunity for mutual progress. On behalf of all of us right here on KTV2, I extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Salah Al-Hamadi for his insightful contribution, and to our viewers in joining us. The relationship between Kuwait and the Lebanese continue to flourish, and peace and prosperity and partnership. I'm Ahmed Al-Wasmi. Thank you so much for sticking around. Let's rejoin the entertainment and take care of yourself and each other, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye-bye.